So the last thing I wrote, before my short stories, was a little book called A Bad Performance. So I'll read a little bit from that, maybe just a paragraph and a little bit. Okay, I'll do that now. If you don't move, I will get angry. He looked at us seriously, but he was far from menacing. She stepped out of the way of the car. It was a pedestrian crossing anyway, and this driver wasn't prepared to wait for Sharon and her trolley full of old clothing. So to really annoy him, she dawdled across the road, enjoying his growing impatience. It was one car versus Sharon and her attitude. The odds were tipped in Sharon's favour by 1,000,000 to 1. She raised her index finger once she'd crossed and screamed, "Don't waste your time getting back to your television set, wanker." He drove off screeching his wheels and looked even more annoyed. Can you imagine the story he would have told anyone who would have listened? Youth these days, he would say. They're all off their faces with arrogance and drugs. Sharon needed an excuse like drugs, but her eccentricity wasn't drug-related. It was just her and maybe society. Maybe society had credited her in error. Well, there was the late 60s and acid, the 70s and posters of airbrushed mangoes, the 80s and Jane Fonda videos. Now it was the 90s and it was back to acid again. Sharon wouldn't touch the stuff. It was though her parents, who were God-fearing Christians, were the drugs she'd taken her whole life. All those wholesome years of corduroy and flared pants, with the occasional Bible reading, had opened her mind to a type of insanity. The joys of God and the fear of hellish reprisals for being a human being. The hell of being flesh and blood. It was full of irony and imaginary beings watching their every move. It was real though, he was watching. Nothing odd about it though, like someone in a cupboard watching. It wasn't that kind of watching, it wasn't perverse. It was joyous. Well, if you like that kind of thing, it is. There is nothing more joyous than angry Bible reading. The devil was laughing, it seems, and probably with Sharon in cahoots.